All right, good morning, everyone. We are going to get started. Today, we have our topic of the Consolidated Application Review. Our wonderful Brent Paulson will be going over this today. So good morning and happy holidays. He will present, and then at the end, if we have time allowed, we'll have some time for questions. You can put them in the chat or raise your hand and we'll call on you and get those questions answered. So Brent, I'm going to pass it over to you to get started.
Thanks, Amy. So today we're going to go over the Consolidated Transit Funding application. It's a pretty detailed thing that we're going over here, so I'm going to try and cover it at a 30,000 foot level. I expect there's going to be questions afterwards, but this should be a good start for us today. All right, so let me make sure I can get my slides advanced. All right, so the Consolidated Transit Funding application has been developed for all transit agencies to use when they're applying for state transit assistance. Transit agencies providing service in areas up to 200,000 in population also use this for state administered federal transit under the 5310 program. Small urban and regional transit systems, along with DART for the non-urbanized area of Polk County, use this process to apply for 5311 funds as well. Any transit system applying for bus replacement funding as part of a DOT administered grant, such as 5339A, uses this as well. The DOT receives $4 million 5339A and supplements this with $3 million in carbon reduction program funds for the same purpose. These are transferred from the Highway Trust Fund. Okay, so in order to do the consolidated transit funding applications, there's a few pieces of information that the DOT prepares and provides to you. For state transit assistance, we provide you all projections. And you take this and it gets programmed in your TIP. In order to do this, we have to have our operational stats finalized, and we need a forecast from our program management department. For 5310 and 5311 projections, we need our operational stats finalized. So those are the ones from the previous year, and a federal appropriation. A lot of times we do not have that last piece, and so we have to do a big projection using last year's statistics. For 5339 and CRP funds, we provide you a PTMS list. That is the prioritized bus replacement list, which includes the $7 million worth of buses that will be replaced. We also provide a programming guidance, which includes the amount that each vehicle to be replaced is supposed to be programmed in the TIP. TIP documentation. So all projects submitted in the Consolidated Transit Funding app are required to be included in an annual transit element of your local TIP, Transportation Improvement Program. For rolling stock projects, the maximum program amount cannot exceed the ceiling in the programming guidance that I just mentioned in the last slide. Programming of transit projects for the TIP is done through TPMS, Transportation Program Management System. I think everybody's probably been on that at one time or another. It allows projects to be applied for by a transit agency and approved by a planning agency, the DOT, and the FTA. And it was created by the Iowa County Engineers Association Bureau. So now I'm going to go over an example of some of the main projects that we all put into Black Cat each year as part of the Consolidated Transit Funding application. But beforehand, here's the link for Black Cat and the test site. All these examples that I'm using today are in the test site. The application is live in the test site for you to play with. So feel free to go there as well. So for your consolidated application, the big thing that's needed are projects. We need projects created. A new project must be created for STA 5310, 11, 39. You get to that by going on, once you log into Black Cat, under the Projects tab, clicked Add New. And this is for capital and operating. Now we're going to go over some of the basic ones. So for state transit assistance, this is what it looks like. And we're using Burlington and Coralville as our examples today. So you use this year, 2020, we're doing fiscal year 2027. This line here, we are unable to remove at this time, but all of these ones will be no for stimulus. For state transit assistance, the budget type is state. The ALI you select is 0.0 Operations and Capital Flexible Grant, and this line will automatically populate. For this example, 500,000 is the total project cost. You enter that and then you hit save. This next line is how we budget that. In the total cost, we put 500,000. There's no federal amount for state transit assistance. And over here, we put STA formula, 500,000. It'll say 0, there won't be any color. If there's a color around this box, that means you have to adjust something here. Then you hit save. That's the state transit assistance one. It's pretty straightforward. Next one would be Coralville 5310. This is an example of how you program for replacement of a van. Again, stimulus is no, it's in 2027, it's capital. This is one of our more common ALIs, it's van replacement. One thing to know about 5310, when you're doing an ALI, it'll always have 5310 only in the end of the line. So there's an ALI that says 11, 12, 15 by replacement van. And there's one that says by replacement van 5310 only. You'll want to use this here. So in this example, we use 150,000 for the replacement costs. You also are able to select the vehicle to be replaced by VIN. Do that through a drop down and all the vehicles for Coralville will pop up. And then you hit save. So and this is how we're going to budget that project. Again, the cost is 150,000. And this is a project that since it's 5310, it's 80-20, but if it has an 80A component, it can be 85. 5310, unfortunately, the system defaults it to wanting to have 80%. However, you'll get a red box here, and this is good because we want it to show 85. 127,000 is the 85 amount. 22.5 is the 15. And I always recommend to put non-federal local match for the match source. We have an over under of 0. We select save, and that one's done for Coralville. Next one, we're back to Burlington. And this is one that all regional and small urban and DART for the non-urbanized areas will do. Here's the ALI for 5311 funding. Again, 2027, no stimulus. And the description populates all the time, automatically up to 50% federal share. So our total project cost, this is one thing to make note, it's $1 million. However, their formula allocation in this example is 500,000. So the total project cost has to include the local and the federal. So we have to budget this item. And the reason you have these budgeted lines here is once Black Cat is being used for contract administration and reimbursement, you have to reimburse for these lines. So it's important to, I guess, understand how you want to reimburse it. If you have much more than $1 million in operating expenses, maybe you can just cover them all in wages and benefits like this example. If not, you may need to distribute them a little bit more evenly amongst them. On the second page of that example, we have passenger revenue at 50,000. And so we have revenues of 50,000, total expenses of 1,050,000. Use my mouse over on this one now. So here's our federal amount and our non-federal match. You click save and that project's complete. Our next one for Burlington is probably the most common ALI that we have, 111204. This is a replacement less than 30-foot bus. So this is our 138-inch, 158, 176 light duty buses. 2027, again, no stimulus capital. We're calling this a $200,000 vehicle. It's a replacement of property ID 745. And we replace the VIN number here. In these, we want to be 85%, so 170, and the non-federal local match is 30,000. Again, we have an over/under of 0. And here we have CRP funds. Doing another one of Burlington's buses, very similar to what we just did. By replacement, 111204, 200,000 property ID, and here's the VIN number. You'll see there's no red box here. These CRP funds are at 80/20. So there's the federal, and there's the match, non-federal. And we'd hit save, and this project would be done. So now we've just created, I believe, 5 projects, 4 for Burlington. We're going to keep following the Burlington example. So under the applications tab in Black Cat, you would select new grant opportunity and then click apply. Once you do that, you'll have at the top, it'll look like this, and you have the option to delete. This will go away later, but this is what it'll look like at the top as soon as you apply. And these are all the application documents. Key thing and these haven't changed from previous years. These are the same as before, but key thing to notice is gray is a required upload, blue is an optional, and green is complete. You want all the grays to go to green. We have to get all of the uploads, or the submit button will not go right here. It'll keep on saying delete. So for all these, you have to upload, get rid of the grays. That's the big thing. Again, these are the same documents that we've had in previous years, so I didn't want to cover those too much. All right, so we attached our we created our 4 projects. We have our application created. Now we need to attach those applications. Select attach, and then within attach, you have the option, and here there are 4 projects. Select them and hit attach. And you can see those projects now populate within our budget. Our next step is to complete each one of these documents and attach them, which we've done here. You can see we have green, with the exception of we're not going to buy any vehicles that are non-ADA with state administered federal funds, so we didn't do this one. So at this point, we have all projects attached. We have all application documents included. And our next step is, you can see there's a submit button. This is great. This is huge. You want to see the submit button when you're done. If there isn't one, that's a big issue. So you hit submit, and then you're on to the next step. It'll go to the DOT for review. If we have any questions or anything that we want to have adjusted, it'll be returned to you. But that is how you submit the application for Consolidated Transit Funding application. and create projects for STA 5310, 5311, and 5339. Any questions?
I don't see anything in the chat. And there we go. Shirley wants to know when we will get PTMS.
Yeah, that's a great question, Shirley. This is, I guess it's related to what we were talking about there before. So let's go back to programming guidance. The DOT is finalizing the programming guidance as we speak. Well, not as we speak, I'm preparing this. It needs additional review before it goes public. Been getting recent, I guess, invoices from transit systems. And what we're really trying to do with the programming guidance is get it so that it's going to work for the cost that you're going to have in 2 years, not just when you program, but when you buy. There's going to be a decent jump in the programming guidance. A number of you have reached out to and discussed on various vehicle types. It's a significant jump compared to what we have right now. And so that's something that we need to have final reviewed internally. Once that's done, we have to apply those programming amounts to the award that we just received, the $27 million award. And once that's done, the PTMS list can be prepared and distributed. That draft one that was distributed earlier, I guess it was in November, is no longer accurate because of all the projects that we've had funded. And so those are the items, and I hope to get that all done this month and distribute it to all by the end of December.
Right. Thank you, Brent. Any other questions?
No, just one more here. I know just recently got an email that the manager's handbook is going to be releasing with an update. Should we anticipate the transit funding application portion to have some updates in the manager's handbook?
So a lot of what I presented today was from that section of the handbook.
Okay.
Yeah, so there may be a few tweaks to it, but I would say 80% of what I covered, well, I guess I included some screen grabs, but a lot of the language that I put in here was from the handbook.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
All right. Anyone else with any questions? It's saying going once, going twice. And of course, as always, you can email any of us or give us a call if you have any of the questions that come up. This recording, along with the PowerPoint presentation, will be available on our website probably later this week. So if anyone wanted to review it again, look at the slides for themselves, or share it with any of your coworkers, we'll have it available. We appreciate your time, and Brent, thank you for the presentation. I hope you all have a great day and happy holidays.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.